toxic masculinity.
Biden accidentally uses the word crisis.
Yeah. Okay. So this is quite fun. We have a video for you guys here. Let's go ahead and watch Biden call the situation on the border a crisis. Let's see here.
Oh boy, President Joe Biden finally saying that there's a crisis at the southern U.S. border as a new poll reveals a growing number of Americans see illegal immigration as a very big problem.
Okay, so we saw there he used the word crisis, but so here's what they're saying now. Here's what like Psaki is saying. She's saying, "Oh no, he didn't mean that the border surge in immigrants is a crisis. What he said was there's a crisis because the things in South America and Central America are so bad that people want to come up here. That's the crisis. Yeah, that's it. So the crisis is the bad living conditions that are forcing them to come up here. That's the crisis. Okay, that's it." So they just made up, like, obviously they went into crisis mode over in D.C. and they all went around and said, okay, how do we fix this? How do we fix this? And then Psaki just like came out with this absolute rubbish. Everybody knows it's a crisis. It's obviously a crisis. The idea that they're still pretending that it's just like, it's just a situation. You know, it's good. What we're doing is good. It's a good thing. Letting all these illegal immigrants into America is a good thing. So anyway, so the headline here, this is from Fox News. Psaki walks back Biden's border crisis comments, acknowledging crisis in Central America. So she said there is a crisis in Central America, but it's not at the U.S. border. When Joe Biden referred to the immigration-related crisis over the weekend, he was not referring to migrants crossing the southern border, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki insisted to reporters on Monday. The Biden administration had resisted using the term crisis to describe the number of migrants crossing the border in record numbers, including many unaccompanied children, and 172,000 migrant encounters in March alone. The problem with the whole, the reason I think that it should be considered a crisis is because it's something that the Border Patrol doesn't have the capacity to deal with. Mm-hmm. It's something that's being used by the cartels to bring more drugs in and guns and crime and whatever it is that they want. You okay? You surviving there?
Really bright.
You don't have to look at me. You can look away. You want sunglasses?
Am I not too bright?
Do you want sunglasses? Look, seriously. No, go on. Get some. I'll put it on me.
No, no.
It's on me. Go.
Am I not too bright?
No, you're fine. You look good.
Okay.
You're glowing.
It's fine. I'll survive.
But obviously, like, there's a lot of sexual assault that happens when people are trying to be trafficked from Mexico into the United States. A lot of these human traffickers are sexually abusing the people they're bringing over. Mm-hmm. Some of them children. Yeah. A lot of them children. It's pretty nasty. I mean, it is very obviously a crisis. And this is a crisis that was created by Biden encouraging people to come through the border. And it's interesting. The other day, they put a cap on... Trump had a cap, I think, of like 15,000 for the year or something like that, illegal immigrants to let in. I don't remember. I don't know what the cap situation was. I didn't pay attention to that story too well. But there was this cap that they had cited that said that's a fairly good cap. We'll think about increasing it if we hit that number. And then a few hours later, they increased the number, and reporters were like, "Why'd you increase the number?" And it was very obviously because AOC had tweeted this is BS. They should increase the number. It's stupid that they're sticking with Trump's number. So they're letting the far left basically push them into positions that maybe they weren't prepared to jump into. But then again, at the end of the day, look, I don't think that any moderates are running the government right now. They pitched Joe Biden as this moderate, steady hand that was going to steer the ship and, correct our course and, make America great again, which is obviously what Trump already did. But that was their pitch to the left. And then Biden gets into office, however he got there, And now they're basically just implementing any radical policy like the AOC types want put in. They're not even really trying to find any kind of common ground with conservatives. Somebody said the other day, some politician, I don't remember who it was, on the left, they said, well, bipartisan support doesn't actually mean bipartisan support amongst politicians that are working in Washington, D.C. today. It doesn't necessarily need to be conservative politicians in Congress that support something. All bipartisan support means is that there are some conservatives that agree with it somewhere. So if Democrats have a plan and no conservatives agree with it in Congress, but the bill gets passed into law or something like that, they think that they can claim bipartisan support now if they can find one Republican somewhere in the country who agrees with the idea. So it could be the most horrible rhino. Another incident. Let's see here. Woman armed with a brush. Not sure that's something that needed to be reported.
Speaking of AOC,
Armed with a brush.
Did you see the video that she showed up in like baseball game in the park without mask on?
Oh no, I didn't see that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need to wear a mask now. But of course the left thinks that you do. Did you see the video? Oh, I know you saw it because we talked about it, right? I think so. There was a video recently that was, what was it? Buttigieg. You know what I'm going to say? Buttigieg pretends that he bicycles to work every day.
Yes, I remember that.
But he was driven to work. I can't believe we didn't cover this on the show. I wish we had. He was driven to work in like an SUV by his people, I guess. And then he had the bike in the back. And somebody caught a video of him getting to the Capitol or getting to the White House or wherever it is that he's working now, jumping out of the car, running to the back, getting his bike out of the back, and then riding the last few yards or whatever it is to work to make it look like I'm riding every day to work. And I thought to myself, why wouldn't he just, like, let's say he's late to work one day. Why doesn't he just let himself be driven occasionally and just most of the time ride to work? And that's still pretty good. You know, you're still kind of like saving the environment or where the left wants you to. But I think the reason he did it was because he's the kind of person that would want to be able to say, if he was running for office, every single day when I worked at this job, every single day I rode my bike to work, every single day, right? He's the kind of guy that would want to do that, like use that as a political point. But now he can't ever say that because somebody got that video, which I just love. I just love that somebody got that video. So now, Buttigieg, I know you're listening. Stop pretending. Okay, we all know it's you can't use that anymore. You might as well just drive to work like everybody else. Although I wish I could ride my bike to work. Actually, honestly, I would love to ride my bike to work. You know why I can't ride my bike to work, ladies and gentlemen? Valeria, tell them. Hello?
Because you work from home?
Yes, thank you. God, why did that take so long?
I was like, is it some kind of tricky question? What is it?
Yeah,
What do I have to answer so he won't beat me later?
Don't say that. You're gonna get me in trouble. I would love to bike to work, but I can't. Oh, by the way, I heard a great. Okay, this is completely not related to anything we're talking about, but speaking of like trick questions, I heard a great fact about history. That's a nice little trivia IQ test. If you want to take the little IQ test, this may annoy the hell out of you, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway because this is a bit of a tricky question. In World War I, I think it was, British soldiers early on. British soldiers in World War I. Darling, are you listening to me? Or are you looking at your phone?
Of course I'm listening.
Why are you looking at your phone?
I was taking a picture of the super chat.
I want you to pay attention to this because I want to test your IQ.
I was taking a picture of the super chat.
I want to test your IQ.
I was taking a picture of the super chat.
Let's see how smart my wife is. So in World War I, the British soldiers, originally they didn't wear helmets. Mm-hmm. And there was a certain number, there was like pretty high death count from people getting hit in the head and lots of injuries, all kinds of stuff like that, right? People were getting injured like crazy, getting hit in the head. They were just, shrapnel would hit them, people getting shot in the head, all kinds of stuff like that. I'm not sure a helmet would help people getting shot, but certain other kinds of damage, it would help them. So they implemented the helmet.
Okay.
Naturally, they designed a helmet, that like flat one, you remember from World War I that the British wore. And what they found was a 5 times increase in head injuries after they implemented the helmet.
Because they were trying to test it.
No. They were trying to test it. Come on. So what, they were bashing their heads into things? No, that's not why. That's not why. I'll give you a minute. We'll finish this story, and then I'll see what you guys think. You can go ahead and write in the comments. Valerie, don't read the comments. I don't want you to get the answer. I want to make you look silly in front of everybody. No, there is a good reason why there was a 5x increase in head injuries after they implemented helmets, and we'll get to that after we finish the story. So, let's see here. When Biden administration resisted blah 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 blah. Okay. The Biden administration had resisted using the term crisis to describe the number of migrants crossing the border in record numbers, including many unaccompanied children, and 172,000 migrant encounters in March alone. That's crazy. Instead, referring to the situation as a challenge. On Saturday, the president made reference to the crisis that ended up on the border with young people, but according to Psaki, this had been misconstrued. Yeah, sure it did. Sure it was. The president does not feel that children coming to our border seeking refuge from violence, economic hardships, and other dire circumstances is a crisis. Sure. Psaki said during a press briefing on Monday, he does feel that the crisis in Central America, the dire circumstances that many are fleeing from, that is a situation that we need to spend our time and effort on. We need to address it if we're going to prevent more of the influx. So what are you going to do? You're just going to send a bunch of money down to South America? We've been doing that for decades. It hasn't helped. You know why? Because a lot of that money goes to corrupt politicians. And what are you smiling at?
Just smiling.
Yeah, you got
So
a little...
people won't think that I'm
Oh, is that your
suffering.
not? Is that your not resting bitch face? Okay, very good. I thought you were laughing at something, some comment. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, and you know, you've got the cartels that run a lot of these places down there, and it's just absolutely awful. Oh, hey, look, a mixed couple in an ad. How unusual. I was point out to Valeria. Whenever we see black people in ads, I go, Valeria, quick, look at the TV. Black people in a commercial. That's so weird. You never see that. Because every single commercial has black people in it now. I mean, Hollywood is so, they're just like, we need to push black people in our commercials because we're not racist. All right, let's see here. Oh God, stop doing that. Why is the webpage? I hate it when Fox News, come on. You're like a multi-billion-dollar company. What are you doing, like having a website that change like we don't need that. Get more professional. All right, let's see here. He does feel that the crisis in Central America, the dire circumstance, we need to but you're not going to be able to fix those countries. Stop trying to nation build. Focus on fixing our country. America first, right? That's what Trump did. Created prosperity for all of us. Put in a border. You know what a border does? You know what a great thing about a border is? Like, I feel actually sorry for immigrants that want to jump the border and just get over here and like make some money and do what they want to do here. I respect that. Like, I would do it if I lived down there. But I'll tell you what, you know what it does when you have a porous border between a poor country and a rich country? Not everybody is going to be able to even make that journey because it costs thousands and thousands of dollars. So what you do is you get the people that are sort of coming up already in their country, people that have the capacity to be successful, people who would otherwise maybe fight in a revolution, you know, young men, people who would potentially maybe be successful and economically thrive and hire people in that country and improve the economy. Mm-hmm. They all come to America, right? It's what sometimes they call brain drain, where you have a country and all the smartest people from that country go to another country, like a more successful country because they want to make money. That country loses all their smartest people, and then they never improve. So keeping these borders porous and keeping inviting all of these immigrants, you're actually doing a disservice to these countries. And when she says we need to help those countries there so that people aren't as inclined to flee into the United States, that's the best you can do. Build the wall and stop incentivizing people to come here. The president's discussion of a crisis was meant to explain why he had not yet, it's moving again, had not yet raised the cap on refugees that had been put in place by former President Donald Trump. Sorry, I should have had that up. So you can see what I'm complaining about when the web page shifts. Yeah, here it is. The president's discussion of the crisis was meant to explain we had not yet raised the cap on refugees that had been put in place by President Donald Trump. So that's it. It wasn't illegal immigrants that he was letting in. It's specifically refugees. There's a cap on refugees. See, okay, why does it do it? Fox News, whoever's making your website really needs to sort that out. That's really annoying. Biden had said in February that he would increase the cap to 125,000 for fiscal year 2022, which begins in October. Fellow Democrats were upset at the current cap of 15,000 that it was kept in place. Well, specifically like AOC and radical leftists. Hours later, the White House changed course, blaming confusion on behalf of the media. And I talked about this a little bit earlier. On Monday, Psaki would not say if Biden's decision was now to raise the cap due to Democrat pressure. All right. Anyway, point is that even the left can't keep their words straight because it's so obviously a crisis that they can't help but use that term. All right, well, I'm done with that story, unless you have something to say, darling.
No, I have nothing to say, and let's move on.
All right, let's move on. This next story is a doozy, but before we do, I should answer the question to the riddle. Why was there 5 times the number of head injuries after they implemented the helmet? Have you figured it out? Have you thought about it? Okay, this is why. It was because all of those people previously, when they didn't have the helmet, were just being killed. So you don't report a head injury of somebody who dies, you report them as a death. Obviously, you're not treating them for a head injury, they just died. So the helmets were protecting the men, and they were protecting them so well that they in fact had a 5-fold increase in head injuries because people were getting hit in the head and they were having injuries, but they weren't being killed. Boom. An amazing riddle, I thought, dealing with statistics and the way that people perceive statistics. And I don't know if it's really an IQ test. It's really just it's more like a test of like outside the box thinking. I don't know what it is, but that wouldn't really tell you if you're smart or not. But anyway, I think it's an interesting fact of history. It's just an interesting way that we perceive how things are. All right, darling Valeria, can you please read me the next headline?
Home of defense witness in Chauvin trial gets vandalized with a pig's head.
Yes, vandalized with a pig's head. This is a fantastic story. I mean, fantastic in that it's provocative. Like in terms of like a news story, it doesn't get better than this. Nobody was hurt, right? But it does show. I think it very nicely illustrates how effed up leftists are, and how unfair this trial is, and how people seem to feel like it's totally acceptable to do something like this when, you know, people have just made up their mind that this guy's guilty, right? They think that Chauvin is guilty and that, you know, anybody who defends him is just pure evil. And, God, these people are awful. All right, let's see here. So this is what the front door of this guy's house looks like. Now, this is not where he lives, actually. So this is, what's this guy's name? Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.